I'm Jesse McCarthy. I do history here. I also work projectors and so forth. And let's see what we have. Well, let's go back. Okay, so how many of you know this quote? Those who don't know history are destined to repeat it, or have heard it. Okay, okay. So as we go along here, this is still debatable, this quote. But is this debatable? You know, if if you knew that the stove would burn you, are you gonna have to touch the stove? Probably not. But all the kids do it. So the point here in history, the overarching point is just like the stove. If you knew the stove would burn you beforehand, you're not going to touch it. We have all of these centuries past that we can learn from for our future. Okay, that's the overarching. That we can learn from for our future. Okay, that's the overarching goal of history. There's a lot on the website, and I'd love if you have questions about the overarching goal of history, but that's not what we're going to be talking about here. That's not the primary motivator for a fifth grader. You know, he's not thinking about that. Okay, what are fifth graders thinking about? You know, video games, maybe. You know, candy, sleepover. So what we do is I'm not going to motivate them by saying, this is going to help you when you're 30. Because they're just not going to care. And I've tried it before when I first started, and it didn't work so well. So we've learned. So what the motivator is going to be is that history is actually fun. It's fun to learn. I know it might sound crazy to some of you who recall history in school, but it's fun to learn. And what I have here is, this is a fifth grade test. A lot of content. This is 8 pages long, okay? There is no multiple choice throughout, okay? Fill in the blanks, short responses, or paragraphs, okay? 8 pages. And this is a short test, okay? So our Rome test is 13 pages, okay? Now, this is names, dates, definitions, boring, right? How many of you actually enjoyed history in school? Oh, that's great to hear. How many of you didn't? Okay, so a lot more hands on the other end. Okay, so here the kids love to learn history. And just yesterday, this is actually the test that the kids turned in yesterday, so I'm really excited about it. I haven't graded this one. But just to tell you, a girl finishes her test, 8 pages, okay, 8 pages, day and a half test. It's a long test. I'm sitting at the desk and she comes up and she says, Mr. McCarthy, can you read the last few sentences of my paragraph? Well, why? Well, it's really powerful. Okay. And this is a 5th grade girl. Okay. And I'm like, really, you know? Okay. So this was the question, and this is the kind of look of it. This is the paragraph response on the test. Okay, this is a fifth grader writing. Okay. In a brief paragraph, tell the essentialized story of Socrates and the end of his life. Okay, that's her goal. How many of you have heard of Socrates? Yeah. Okay. These kids know Socrates. Okay. This is her last line. How many of you know what happened to Socrates? Okay, so Socrates was put to death in Athens, in ancient Greece. Okay. Great civilization, but they made some mistakes, and this was one of them. Okay. That day, this is her conclusion. This is the power. That day of 399 BC, she knows the date, Athens, the world, lost a very special man, Socrates. Socrates accepted death for the fact that he had never committed a crime, but a crime was committed on Socrates. That's a fifth grader saying that. And I mean, I definitely never told her in that poetic of a way. She did it. Okay. So, and she was excited to tell me that. Now, how many of you after a test, you're excited to talk more about the test? Not usually, right? So the question for tonight is, how do we accomplish this goal? So how do we get students to learn a lot of history, a lot of history? So we have online, check it out. A lot of content, and love doing it, And my answer tonight, one of the main things is going to be our motivation, as Lindsay mentioned. Okay, the motivation is going to connect history to one's life today. So in history, it's these ancient people, fifth grader thinking about candy, sleepovers. He doesn't care about, some person in the Middle Ages doing farming, farming for his crops. And so doesn't care until you connect it to his life. Okay, so that's what we're going to get into today. So let's hop in. So today we're going to hop into a classroom, sixth grade classroom, Middle Ages, fall of Rome to Middle Ages. Okay, it's adopted for you. So if something's, you say that to a kid? No, it's for you guys, okay? So it's adapted for you. And just remember this point. Connect history to one's life today as we go throughout, because that's what's going to be motivating this lesson, okay? Okay. No. That's how we're going to begin this one. How many of you like to hear no? Nobody? Come on. How many as a kid like to hear no? See, things haven't changed. Things haven't changed at all. Okay, so let's go through here. What is this? Now, you're going to say, what is this now? So, possessions are things. Possessions are things. What this is, okay, how many of you have been to Anthropology? That's it? Anthropology, the store. Yeah, okay, now it's like, yeah. No, we're not in academics. So, spectrum we're talking about. Okay, so one day I was walking around the Spectrum. We went into Anthropologie with my mom. The family is here too, because my mom is here as well. So it's very nice. We were walking around the Spectrum, Anthropologie, my mom's shopping for some nice things. And you know, as guys, what you do if you're with your mom or your girlfriend or your wife, you what do when your wife or your mom is shopping? What does the guy do? Takes a seat, right? So in Anthropologie, I took a seat, and this is what I sat in. And I got to tell you, it was what am I in? This is amazing. I love this thing. I love this thing, and I wasn't quite clear. They put chairs up, they put furniture. Is this thing for sale? Like, what is this? So I figured it was for sale because there was a tag on it. I looked at the tag, and I'm a teacher. This tag kind of blew me away a little bit. It said $2,000. $2,000. And this is leather. It's handmade. It's a beautiful, beautiful chair. Okay. Anyways, my mom comes back, we go out walking. I told her, look at this chair, We go out walking. Of course, I can't get this chair out of my mind. So I'm walking home, and so forth. And weeks go by, and the chair's just popping up in random times. I might even be teaching. I'm thinking about the chair, And so I started to do research on the chair. Did somebody else make it so I don't have to spend $2,000? I don't have $2,000. I went through all of these things. About a month later, got some type of coupon that was at least 10% off of this thing. And I actually bought it. Okay, I actually bought it. I was really excited. This is one of my favorite possessions. Okay, so here it is in my room. One of my favorite possessions. For probably about 6 months later, it was only peanut butter and jelly eating